Everybody knows that the shortest joke in Russia is, of course, Putin. But do you know what's the longest joke? The one that Vladimir Putin told to Tucker Carlson. No? Okay. In today's Kremlin Files, we'll introduce a Russian TV star and one of the country's main propagandists, Margarita Simonyan. She's the current editor-in-chief of the Kremlin-controlled RT and the media group Russkiy Segodnya, and she's best known for her aggressive rhetoric against the West. Margarita decided at an early age that she wants to become a journalist. At some point, she probably realized that being a journalist in Russia is a dangerous profession and just decided to become a state propagandist instead. Either way, she initially started working for the local newspaper and a local television station while studying journalism at Kuban State University. Like most popular propagandists in Russia, Simonyan too spent time as an exchange student in the West, studying in Bristol, New Hampshire in 1995. Simonyan rose to relative popularity by covering the Second Chechen War, but her big breakthrough came in 2004 when she was one of the first correspondents to arrive at the scene of the Beslan school hostage crisis.
Вот это все, что мы можем пока сообщить вам сегодня.
Soon after this, she moved to Moscow, where she joined the pool of Kremlin reporters. She was only 25 years old when she was appointed editor-in-chief of RT, then still known as Russia Today, in 2005. It was truly an amazing feat that this young lady was selected for running Russia's biggest propaganda mill outside of Russia. It was actually so amazing that some have claimed that Rita may have used her womanly charms to get the position. She even had to address this in a 2008 interview, saying that her age often leads people to make assumptions about how she got the job. Simonyan has stated that Russia Today's goal was to have a professional format similar to BBC and CNN. According to Rita, RT would reflect Russia's opinion of the world and present a more balanced picture of Russia. She then started throwing around some jokes, claiming that the Kremlin wouldn't dictate their content and that the censorship by the government in this country is prohibited by the constitution. She also could have become a comedian, don't you think? Later, Simonyan stated that in order to grow, they had to become provocative and that controversy was vital to the channel's success, basically admitting that their whole concept is based on clickbaity bullshit and cheap propaganda. And Rita actually did try to become a comedian. In 2018, she wrote the script for a romantic comedy called The Crimean Bridge, Made with Love. The movie was actually a propaganda film revolving around the building of the Crimea Bridge that connected Russia with the illegally annexed Crimea. The film was absolutely hated by both viewers and critics, and for a while it was the lowest rated film on film review aggregators like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Simonyan wanted to keep the whole production in the family, so the film was directed by his husband, Tigran Keosayan. She and her husband also funneled at least 46 million rubles in state funds intended for the film's production to Margarita's relatives, as is tradition. The movie itself was a massive failure, making only 70 million rubles in the box office, less than half of its budget. Cinemas in Kazakhstan refused to screen this film, citing that no one would go to watch it.
We're not funded by the Kremlin. We are funded just like the BBC. Are you confused?
In 2013, Margarita was appointed as the editor-in-chief of another state-controlled news agency, Russkiy Segodnya, or Russia Today in English. Russkiy Segodnya is best known for their propaganda channels RIA Novosti and Sputnik. Even though acting as the chief in both RT and Russkiy Segodnya, Simonyan claimed that they're in no way related. But to most, it was obvious that the latter was created just to complement RT with their propaganda. In 2020, Simonyan defended an overtly racist TV segment where his husband and actress were wearing blackface posing as Barack Obama. The skit depicted Obama as an illiterate who should have been a rap musician instead. Margarita later stated that this kind of shit is okay because her husband is of Armenian background, whatever that means. Naturally, Simonyan has been active in defending the Kremlin's genocidal war in Ukraine, threatening the West, and spreading lies about Ukraine. And believe me, she is vile. Right after Russia launched their full-scale attack, she tweeted that this is a standard parade rehearsal, it's just that this year we decided to hold the parade in Kyiv. She strongly opposed the 2022 anti-war protests in Russia, suggesting that if you are ashamed of being Russian now, don't worry, you are not Russian. She also claimed that nobody is fighting against Ukrainians. We're liberating Ukraine. No one is bombing peaceful Ukrainian cities. Just one day after this ridiculous statement, Russian troops moved into the city of Bucha and started their ruthless massacre inside the city. But there's so much more of this nonsense. For example, in March of 2022, Margarita made multiple false claims saying that Ukrainian doctors have called for Russian prisoners of war to be castrated and that Ukrainian Nazis are prepared to pluck children's eyes out due to them being Russian. She also said that Ukrainian forces were attacking children in Mariupol with banned cluster munitions and that considerable portion of the Ukrainian people have turned out to be engulfed in the madness of Nazism. In one of his most absurd claims, Margarita suggested that Russia conquered Kyiv during the first week of the conflict and then simply gave it back.
Победили в первую неделю. Мы его, напомню, просто в Гостомеле уже были, везде были, взяли фактически, да?
Like her old friend Solovyov, Simonyan has also cheered for nuclear war because we're all going to die someday. Maybe these two could just have a nice cup of polonium tea together and just get it over with. And she's even called for a nuclear strike on her motherland. She said that Russia could produce a nuclear explosion somewhere over Siberia to kill all electronics and satellites.
В сотнях километрах на нашей же территории, где-нибудь над Сибирью, термоядерный взрыв, например, ядерный взрыв, то ничего не будет на Земле.
But for this, she was called a stupid woman with no understanding of such things in the Russian parliament. Remember when Russian intelligence officers poisoned the former GRU officer Sergei Skripal and her daughter in Salisbury, UK? Investigative group Bellingcat later identified 3 Russian GRU agents being behind the incident, and Margarita later decided to interview 2 of them.
CCTV footage from London. You walk on those now famous coats and sneakers in Salisbury. Are these people you?
Yeah, that's us.
Apparently, the boys had booked a room with just one bed, and Simonyan decided to ask about this. Living together is merrier and easier, it's normal, explained one of the assassins as he appeared to defend himself against the suggestion that he and his fellow agent had slept in the same bed. Simonyan defended their choice of accommodation, stating that no need to justify yourselves, whether you had a single or double bed is the least of the world's concerns right now. But after that, the lid was opened and the papers started writing. Instead of dangerous killers, timid gays, wrote a columnist in Zavtra. Moskovsky Komsomolets proclaimed that the GRU's coming out of the closet. And Life News said that the LGBT community has come out in defense of Petrov and Boshirov. Later, Simonyan herself commented that they are fashionable, as far as I can tell, with beards, haircuts, tight trousers, a sweater that fits their big biceps, and that they didn't hit on her. Then again, who in their right mind would?
Not me.
To conclude, Margarita Simonyan is a powerful propagandist who holds the keys to the biggest news outlets in Russia. She's also a vile and disgusting human being who's not afraid to dehumanize Ukrainians or threaten the West or her homeland Russia with nuclear weapons. Simonyan is the embodiment of Russian state media. Most of the words coming from her mouth are lies or threats targeted at Russia's adversaries. As a matter of fact, she's the antithesis of real journalism, and we all know what happens to real journalists in Russia. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Kremlin Files, but for now, I say goodbye to you, my friends. We'll meet again soon.